Okay, so some of you the other day might have seen my little walkthrough on how to keep the Flame Blade at level 6. Now, if you haven't seen it, go and check that video out first. But a lot of people asked for a build based around dual wielding these permanent Flame Blades. Now you can see the huge damage up they have here. 5 to 30 and 11 to 36. Now, we are going to be doing a build, levels 1 to 12, with all the items and the combat tutorial, but what I want to show off first is something that I need to stress, is that the Flame Blade usually, when it's not permanent and cast by a druid, is wisdom based. Scimitars, which is what the Flame Blade is, are dex based. However, this Flame Blade appears to be strength based. So for example, I'm using the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength. And we can see it's 11 to 36 damage. If I was to remove the Hill Giant Strength Gauntlets, it drops down to 5 to 30. So just bear that in mind before we get this build started. You might be wondering why we're not leveling certain things. It's because it appears that the Flame Blades themselves use your strength modifier, not wisdom or dex. Now let's jump into the level by level. And we're going to start our dual wielding Flame Blade build off with Fighter. The reason we're doing this is we want the proficiencies in all of this lovely stuff. So we're doing heavy armor, medium, light, martial, simple weapons, the whole shebang. Now bear in mind, this build really does not come online until level 12. This is very much a respec build, because you need your level 6 spell slots available to cast Flame Blade upcasted. So technically you could do it at level 11, I guess, but level 11, level 12 is where you have to do this build properly. Oh, I just sort of half-arsing it. You can obviously cast the Flame Blades and make them permanent up to the highest level you can at that point. But obviously we're going to be doing this with level 6 ones, so just bear that in mind. But we start with Fighter. And for this one we're going to go with 2-weapon fighting as our fighting style. When you make an attack with your offhand weapon, you can add your ability modifier to damage of the attack. Really, really nice. Okay, so if you are respecking, really you can sort of have your stats be really wacky. You could have something crazy like this, for example. You don't need your con or your strength. So you could have something really that looks like this at 8, 16, 10, 12, 14, 14. If you want to do it from level 1 at the start of the game and work you up and just dual wield any weapons until you upcast your Flame Blades, then follow this. 16 strength, 16 dex, 14 constitution, 8 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 10 charisma. Now, this is the one I'm going to go with because I'm going to assume you want to do it from the very start of the game. But if you do want to respec in level 12, in Act 3, whatever near the end, and use the items we're using, once you finish Raphael's quest in the House of Hope, then you can respec and you can make your stats look crazy, because 2 of the items we use are going to be bumping our stats up. Now for your proficiencies, take whatever you feel like. And we move on to level 2, and again we are sticking with Fighter. This gives us Action Surge, so immediately gain an extra action to use this turn, and this is amazing when dual wielding. Okay, from here, Fighter level 3 gives us our specialization, and it's telling us the specialization it already has picked, and that is of course Battle Master. So that gives us 4 superiority dice, and you expend these dice to do certain abilities, as well as 3 passives or maneuvers, and this is what you spend your superiority dice on. And these are the maneuvers you can pick, and for us, very few options. First one, disarming attack. Spend a superiority dice to make an attack that deals an additional 1d8 damage and possibly forces the target to drop the weapons they are holding. Really nice ability. If you can make an enemy drop the weapon and pick it up, so they're unable to do anything apart from just punch you, you've basically eroded them from the fight, and all you have to do is just take out their health pool. The next one we're going to pick is Riposte. So when a hostile creature misses you with a melee attack, expend the superiority die to retaliate with a powerful strike that deals an additional 1d8 damage. And because our AC by the end of the game is going to be so high, Riposte will trigger a lot. You can be doing so much extra damage. And we're going to finish this off with Trip Attack. So spend a superiority dice to make an attack that deals an additional 1d8 damage and possibly knocks the target prone. Target must be larger or smaller. Knocking enemies prone is such a nice mechanic. Really good way of just ruining an enemy's turn. Okay, and we stick with Fighter to level 4. This gives us access to our first feat. And from here, we are going to be coming down and taking Dual Wielder. So you can use 2-weapon fighting, even if the weapons aren't light, you gain a +1 bonus to armor class while wielding a melee weapon in each hand. You cannot dual wield heavy weapons. Now the flame blades themselves are classed as light, so we don't need to worry about the first part, but the extra +1 bonus to armor class is useful. If you don't think you want the +1 bonus to armor class this early, then take something like Savage Attacker to really boost your damage up. And this brings us to Fighter level 5. This gives us access to 44 health, but more importantly, an extra attack. So, extra attack, you can make an additional free attack after making an unarmed or weapon attack. If you gain the extra attack feature from more than one class, they don't add together. So now we have 3 attacks per round. 2 main actions, and then our bonus action offhand. And this is where we start going a little crazy and we dip over to the rogue. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to using the flame blades, we're not going to benefit from sneak attack. Unfortunately, flame blades are not classed as finesse despite being light, so we do not access sneak attack, but what it means is we can use a bow if you want and have a range capability, or until you get your high level flame blades, if you have some finesse based dual wielding weapons you're using, that works, and then you can use your sneak attack that way. But for your proficiencies, take whatever you feel like, and the same for your expertise. And we're sticking with Rogue for level 2. This gives us gives us access to a bunch of cunning actions such as hide, dash, or disengage. Disengage and dash being the most useful here. And at this point we are at Rogue level 3 and we want our specialization, which is going to be Thief. The reason we're taking Thief is for fast hands, gain an additional bonus action, which now means we have 2 main actions because we have our actual attack and then our extra attack. So even though it's 1 action, it's technically 2 attacks. And then we have 2 bonus actions, which means 2 offhand attacks, which means we're now at 4 attacks per turn. Couple that with Action Surge, huge amount of damage. Okay, and at this point we go back to Fighter for level 6. This gives us access to another feat. And at this point we're going to want to take Elemental Adapt. Your spells and attacks ignore resistance to a damage type of your choice. When you cast a spell of that type, you cannot roll a 1. The reason we want to do this is the Flame Blades do purely fire damage, so we need resistance to fire. It's Elemental Adapt, fire. Now we're at Fighter level 7, 81 hit points, another superiority dice, and 2 more passives. And the first one we're going to take is Sweeping Attack. Swing your weapon in a rapid sweeping arc to attack multiple enemies at once. Roll your superiority dice for damage. And we're also going to take Pushing Attack. Suspend the superiority dice to make an attack that deals an additional 1d8 damage and possibly pushes the target back 4.5 meters. Now the way I like using this is if an enemy is in melee with a more squishy character like a Gale or a Jaheira for example, using that to push them away, or if the enemy is on a beam or a balcony, cliffside, using this to throw them off. Really nice way of just taking enemies out, to be honest. Okay, Fighter level 8, access to another feat, and if you didn't take it to begin with, now is the time to take Savage Attacker. When making melee weapon attacks, you roll your damage dice twice and use the highest result. If you chose not to go with Dual Wielder at level 1, and so you've already taken Savage Attacker, at this point you could take Sentinel, you could take Tavern Brawler, Tough, a few options here basically. But in my opinion, it should now be time for Savage Attacker. Okay, Fighter level 9, Indomitable. You become as durable as an Iron Golem. Whenever you fail a saving throw, you can roll again using that new result. 97 health, really good. Now a lot of people will be asking why don't we take Rogue to level 4 to get another feat. The reason being is we don't get the benefit of the increased sneak attack, and we don't need another feat. Obviously you could if you want to, you could take things like Mobile or something like that. But in my opinion, sticking with Fighter, increase in health, the extra 1 I know it's not a lot, but I think it's better than a feat in this case. I think it's better than having no use for the sneak attack by this point because we are now level 12. And I do like Indomitable when we have the option of being able to reroll again when we fail a saving throw. Okay, so for this build to work, as I said, there are a few items that are going to buff your stats up, which is why I don't mind using our feats to take things such as Dual Wielder and Savage Attacker and Elemental Adapt, things like that. Now, this build in general, we're going to do with the Helldusk Helmet. So Infernal Sight, you can see magical and ordinary darkness up to a range of 12 meters, and you cannot be blinded. We have a +2 bonus to saving throws, and we cannot be critically hit. We also have Immobilizing Gaze, which for a build that's using Flame Blade, thematically fits so well. We are going to take the Flesh Melter Cloak, so whenever a creature deals melee damage to the wearer, that creature deals 1 to 4 acid damage. So nice little way, because we are going to be the tank of the party, of being able to deal extra damage when we're not even attacking. The Disintegrating Nightwalkers. Now what I love about these is you can't be enwebbed, entangled or ensnared, cannot slip on ice or grease, but more importantly, we have Misty Step, and that is a key for this build. Now of course you probably recognise it, but we are going with the Helldusk armour. We are considered proficient with it, which doesn't really matter per se, but what we really like is the high level armour class. So as you can see, we are an armour class of 21 with this armour. Overall, an armour class of 22 thanks to Dual Wielder. This also gives us the option to fly. It means we have saving throws, and once we succeed a saving throw, which ties very nicely into Indomitable, the caster receives burning. So again, thematically it fits this Flameblade build. And we have resistance to fire damage and cannot be burned, as well as taking 3 less damage from all sources. So once again, thematically we have the flames, and we're able to tank even better than before. Now we are going to take the Killer Sweetheart, my favourite ring for a fighter or a paladin, a frontline melee character, because when we kill an enemy, the next attack we do is a guaranteed critical hit. It is only once per short rest, so not amazing, but it is phenomenal. Now we're going to take the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength saving throw +1, but more importantly, sets our strength to 23, which means we have a +6 to our attack rolls and damage. As you can see, it ties into our Flame Blades here, and ignores resistance. We're going to couple this with the Ring of Regeneration, which means beginning of our turn, we're going to activate and heal 1 to 4 hit points, once again helping us tank, because we're now healing as well as taking less damage, meaning our health pool can continuously shift up and up if we do take some big hits. And to round this off, the Amulet of Greater Health. Set our Constitution to 23. And advantage on Constitution saving throws, which means if we have advantage on Constitution saving throws and we save one, that caster is then burned. Just a nice way of this build, all rounding out and tanking while healing, while causing damage, not on our turn, while also being able to cause damage if they miss with riposte, while also dealing big damage with our 4 attacks per round. And of course our scimitars, our flame blades, 5d6 plus 6 fire damage, which ignores resistances. Just amazing. Now if you want to couple this off with a bow, like I mentioned, the Darkfire short bow is great because it has haste, or there is the Deadshot, which will lower your critical hit rate, whichever one you feel like. Okay, so that is this build, levels 1 to 12, and the items as well as an explanation. So let's go put this into combat and see how it fares. Okay, we are in combat, and what we're going to do is, even though we've got all 4 people, we're going to play this combat out without using our other companions. So we're going to skip all their rounds, and we're going to show you off just how well this build works when it's purely on its own. Now obviously you are going to be doing this with other companions, possibly, unless you're doing a solo run. But ideally, we want our main character in the thick of battle, just tanking as much as possible. Well, everyone gets sniped apparently. Okay, so now it is our turn, and you saw our Ring of Regeneration triggered even though we didn't need it to. So, let's jump in, and as you will see, when I can find it, sneak attack is not available. So we are losing a big rogue benefit, like I said, but as you'll see now, it's worth it. And there you go, 1 main attack and 1 offhand, and we have done 59 damage. Now if we come in here with our other offhand, and we'll kill the first one. This has access to Executioner, so let's go up here. And we're not going to use it quite yet. What I want to do is show off something like Disarming Attack, one of the benefits we have. So let's land this. We're going to smack this gentleman. We're not going to use Executioner because I want to show that off next round, but for now. And there you go, 30 damage, and they dropped their weapon, which means we could then come in here, if we wanted to, and we can steal their weapon, and now they can't use it.
Ready.
So, amazing way of being able to take out enemies really easily. Like I mentioned, if you do this to a lot of enemies, Now they can only hit us, and as you can see, riposte is now triggered, so we get to deal extra damage. Again, not going to use Executioner. And unfortunately, we missed that time. And what you've noticed is riposte is only once per turn, as our allies take more and more damage. Now, we are going to heal up with Shadowheart just to keep my companions alive, but as you can see, our lovely fighter rogue hasn't taken a single hit of damage so far from these very, very annoying archers. Oh, I thought that was going to be the one where they finally target them, but they didn't. Okay, well, it is now time for our fighter to do their thing. So, once again, we're just going to do a very standard attack. No Executioner. And there you go, we have absolutely massacred that one. Now what we can do is we can come up here, and we'll now swing at this one. Executioner. 51 damage, and again, we have killed someone every single round. That is how strong this build is.
Open up.
And we haven't even used our action surge yet. That is going to come in soon.
Orders. Got to keep fighting.
So just do a quick little heal up, just to make sure no one dies. As we get poked with a rapier, I believe. And you see the enemies are very quickly dwindling down. And they love climbing down that ladder and then going back up. Absolutely love it. My poor rogue getting butchered. Okay, so we have a few abilities we can do. And for example, we have the Disintegrating Nightwalkers, which allows us to Misty Step. So we're going to come up here. And this is how you can really help your team tank, by getting around the battlefield that quickly. And now from here we are going to do our attacks. So once again, big hits, but then going to come in with an action surge. And now we can use some more of these. So let's do a trip attack this time. And there you go, didn't need to trip them because they died instantly. And this still means we have access to a bunch more attacks. So for example, let's do a pushing attack on this one. And there you go, not a huge amount of damage, but we did push them back. And once again, we can come back in with another huge hit. 47 damage with a critical, and now we have 3 health left on this gentleman.
Consider my hackles raised.
And we'll skip everyone's turn again. He can just keep poking Shadowheart, that's okay. And now I'm going to show off a few other abilities we have thanks to our superiority dice. You can see we have 1 left. So this time, let's do sweeping attack. Oh, the camera made me face the wrong way, but that's okay. What we'll do is we'll just do our offhand to take this one out. Just like that. Nice little 13 damage. And then we'll try and make our way down here ready to fight the next one. In fact, what we'll actually do is we'll use our bonus action for our rogue to be able to disengage. And we'll close the distance as best we can. Maybe we'll be able to use our action to actually hit. Can we reach them? We can. And that's where you can use the rogue abilities to your benefit to help you get around the battlefield, to continuously help you DPS a huge amount and tank for all your allies. And do another insane 25 damage.
War is an old woman's game.
Oh, I didn't mean to do Sentinel, but that's okay. I pressed the wrong button. I think it's fair to say they're going to get killed this round, just like this. There you go, another 50 damage. And we're doing so much damage per round with this build, and we ignore resistances. So even if there is an enemy that has a resistance to fire, they're still going to take a load of damage. Now please bear in mind, if we would come in here, if you see we have 0 superiority dice left, come in here in short rest.
That helped.
They all get replenished, which means we can keep pumping out these special abilities. So that is my permanent Flame Blade dual wielding tank DPS build. I really hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what about this build you would change, what you do slightly differently, what you might put on instead to make things work. If you have enjoyed, please drop the episode a like, it helps me amazingly. If you're new and you're not subscribed but you'd like to, that'd also be amazing, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next build. Bye guys.